Hello, my friends. Welcome to one more of the Teacher Tenchi's English classes. Today we're going to continue explaining simple present, and the stuff we have to explain today is the negative form, okay? So in order you can remember how it works, let's remember the ways we can conjugate a simple present, okay? And for this, let me share my screen. Okay, so we're going over there, and this is the wrong one. I'm wrong. Let's move to the other one. So for this, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to choose the right screen. Okay, it says simple present. Remember that for simple present, we have the affirmative case, which suggests that we must work with the following structure: subject plus verb plus complement. Okay, examples of this, easy. Let's write some examples. Example, I like pizza. Um, you play soccer. Okay, and then she is beautiful. Remember that when we use simple present, we can talk about daily routines, we can talk about habits, or we can talk about stative or permanent states. Okay. So remember and pay attention. If you see, I like pizza, I have subject, verb, and complement. You play soccer, I have subject, verb, and complement. She's beautiful, the same. I have subject, verb, and complement. Okay. In negative, we just have a small difference, but we must be careful. Okay, we must pay attention. Let me see how this works. I think I can go back using this. Yes, it was like that. Okay, so we have then, as I said, the negative case. In this case, we're going to, whoops, I made a mistake. It says subject. It should be subject. For the negative case, we use subject. And this time I'm not going to use the verb. Before the verb, I'm going to use an auxiliary. Okay, the auxiliary expression, the auxiliary can be don't or doesn't. I'm going to explain in a while what we must use. Okay, after the auxiliary, we use the verb. Okay, and after the verb, we use the complement. Okay, so let's write some examples. First, I'm going to write, you don't have money. It sounds kind of rude. Better, I'm going to write, you don't like burgers. Okay, so if you see, I'm using don't. When I use don't, easy. I'm going to use don't when I have the following pronouns. Okay, I, you, we, and they. Okay, and we have other auxiliary, other form of the auxiliary that it's called doesn't. Let's try an example. He doesn't work here. In this case, as I told you, I have doesn't. Okay, and doesn't is for the rest of the persons in the pronoun. So I'm going to write he, she, it. Okay. Then I know now how to conjugate a simple present in negative. Okay. Remember, we use two auxiliaries, don't for I, you, we, and they, and doesn't for he, she, and it. And if you remember, we have already talked about third person in singular. So I think you're not going to have any trouble. Okay. Then this is not the only stuff we need to know about the simple present. We're missing the way to make questions. Okay. So let's add one more slide. Let's recall this is simple present. Okay. But this time the simple present is going to work to make questions. Okay. Sorry. When we make questions, we also must remember that we have the auxiliaries. We have do, which is for I, you, we, and they. For example, do you want to know a secret? As the Beatles lyrics. Well, I mean the Beatles song. Okay. Do you want to know a secret? Oh, oh, oh. Okay. That's the way we just do. So if you pay attention, the structure is this one. Auxiliary plus my subject plus my verb. And if you pay attention, the verb is not conjugated. We call it base form, but we are going to see that later. And we also have complement. Remember that the complement is not always necessary, but what if it is really necessary is the question mark. Remember, if a question has no question mark, it's not a question. Okay, so now checking that structure, I have already done some example. Well, an example using do. Now let's go for the other example. The other auxiliary, which is does. Does, as I told you in the negative, is for he, for she, and for it. Okay. For example, does she, let's talk about she, does she wear boots on rainy days? Okay, for example. And then now we have examples with do and with does. But we also need to remember that there's a way to answer. Okay. In the case of do, I'm going to have both possibilities, affirmative and negative answers. And I'm going to say yes. But in order to make it brief, in order to make it short, I'm going to use short answers. Okay. For example, do you want to know a secret? Yes, I do. Okay. In affirmative, if I wanted negative, I'm going to say no, I don't. Okay. And that happens with do. Let's see what happens with does. In the case of does, the same. I can use yes or no, but I need to remember how to manage this thing with my auxiliary does. Okay. Does she wear boots on rainy days? Yes, she does. Or no, she doesn't. Okay. And in this way, now we have simple present for questions, for negative and affirmative. We have already seen it, so we're not going to take some time on that. Okay, in order to continue managing examples of these, we're going to go to our book or to our platform where you can see the book. And then over there, we're going to practice. Let me see. Now I'm going to share the screen with the book pages. Okay, so for this class, we're going to use the lesson 3B, okay, which is called work days. Okay, and what I told you about the grammar rules is here on this circle, over here on the exercise 4, which is explanation. Okay, let's wait a little. Okay, it says grammar, simple present, negative, and questions. Read the table, find the examples in the text. This is the text. Okay, so let me see. First, as I told you, here you have the rules. Okay, when we use don't and when we use doesn't, when we use do and when we use does. Okay, so now let's find examples in the text. It says, in a while, do you catch the bus or subway in the mornings? Lots of people do this get to work, but Nathan Dell doesn't. Nathan doesn't do office work. He works outdoors as a wildlife photographer. He often gets up before dawn, has breakfast, then he gets ready to go to work. He doesn't work uh, shifts or even 9 to 5. He hides among trees in the jungle, keeps very still, and waits for a chance to photograph an animal. At the end of the day, he returns to his camp. After dinner, he checks the photographs on his computer. He sometimes works late to send the pictures to the magazine he works for. It's a tiring and dangerous job, but Nathan is happy to share the beauty of nature with people all over the world through his photographs. Okay, then we're going to try to identify these negative forms, negative in questions. So let's see, I'm going to use I think this is going to work. Let's see. Let me see which one I can use. I think this works. Okay. It says, do you catch the bus or subway in the mornings? Over here we have our first simple present question. It's not working this one. I'm going to try with another one. Okay, it's already working now. So it says, do you catch the bus or subway in the mornings? My first question. Okay. Let's see if we find another question or a negative. It says lots of people do this to get to work, but Nathan Dell doesn't. Okay, here again I have Nathan Dell doesn't. And I also have doesn't do. Nathan doesn't do office work. Okay. He works outdoors as a wildlife photographer. He often gets up before dawn, has breakfast, then he gets ready to go to work. Okay, all that is in simple present, but it's in affirmative, and we're looking for negative in questions. So here it comes. He doesn't work shifts. Okay. The shifts are the schedules that we have at jobs in order to work for during certain time. Okay, those are the shifts. He hides among trees in the jungle, keeps very still, and waits for a chance to photograph an animal. That's also simple present, but in affirmative. Let's go to look for some negative or question. Okay. At the end of the day, he returns to his camp. After dinner, he checks the photographs on his computer. He sometimes works late. It's a tiring and dangerous job. And no more. There are no more examples of negative or questions. Okay. And then in this way, we're checking that the grammar point is working on what we wanted. Okay, let me see. I'm going to raise all my lines. Okay, and now again, I have my text. In order to continue working, we're going to move on vocabulary and reading. Okay, let's wait for the load of this. And it says, write down as many jobs as you can. Don't worry if you have no idea right now of jobs. Let's take a look to this. Over here, I have some of them. For example, nurse, secretary, pilot, chef, lawyer, police officer. Okay, I recommend you to practice the pronunciation with these jobs. Okay, then we have this issue with which is an exercise. Let's wait for the load of this. And it says, look at the man in the photo. Which of the sentences 1 to 5 are true about him? Nathan works in a park. If you remember, he doesn't work in a park, so it is false. Okay. Number 2, he catches the subway to work. He doesn't catch the subway, so again, false. He starts work early in the morning. Well, in fact, we said that he has no schedules. So it's also false. Okay, it's true. Let's see why. Okay, it says he often gets up before dawn. Okay, I forgot it. Okay, I hope you got it. Okay, let's start again. So we said it was false, it is true. Then 4, he sends his work by mail. Okay, if you remember, he said he sends his work by computer. Okay, false again. And then he doesn't like his job. That's completely false. In fact, he says he really likes his work. Okay. Oops. I had to say false. Okay. Yeah, my mistake. I had to say false in order to say that he likes his job. Okay. Okay. And this way we can practice. Then it says check these words. One more exercise of pronunciation. I want you to practice. So take some time and practice this vocabulary. Let's start. Office work. Outdoors. Wildlife photographer. Done. Get ready. Work. Shifts. Hide. Jungle. Keep still. Wait for a chance. Return. Share. Beauty of nature. Okay, and then if you practice this, you're going to have a better idea of the pronunciation, and you're also going to obtain some vocabulary. If you don't find or you don't understand the meaning of any word, you can ask me through the groups we have, or you can use a dictionary or an online site in order to check for meanings. Okay, so next exercise. Next exercise is up to you. You have to check, you have to answer with the words that we pronounced before, the ones that are in check these words, and answer this exercise. Remember, in order to answer, you have to use your book and send me a photo or a file with the answers to the Brightspace group. Okay. And I think that's it for today, guys. So take it easy. Practice little by little. You don't have to be fast. You just have to be sure that you're getting the idea and words we're learning. Okay. Next page is for next class. See you around, my friends.